I got diabetes, I got hypertension, I got heart attack, I got stent, and one top part they get, Ryan sir, diet kaisa karne ka hai? I've had a billionaire confess to me that, Ryan, the best thing about a nutrition plan is I've lost 42 kgs, but I've also lost all my friends. Gluten is that like that spy inside of your body that doesn't look harmful, but goes and does a lot of havoc. So the biggest message that I'm delivering through my book is eat to your capacity.
Celebrity nutritionist, health coach, co founder of Qua Nutrition, and the author of the amazing book, Feetless. Our guest today on the Settle or Be Better podcast is Mr. Ryan Fernando, who's going to be talking to us about lifestyle disorders, food sensitivities, and how to lead a wheat-less lifestyle. So, welcome, Mr. Ryan, and over to you. Why don't you begin by telling us a little bit about what's the big message that you're currently working on delivering through your book?
So, the biggest message that I'm delivering through my book is eat to your capacity. And there's this word I name my clinic Qua Nutrition. Qua in Latin means incapacity. So, can you discover your capacity, your personal capacity for nutrition? And we've all been taught to eat out of love and culture. There's no science in the way we eat. So I'm on a mission through my nutrition clinics, through my colleagues who are some of the best dietitians on the planet. We go to people and say, hey, would you like to know how to eat more scientifically? Could we take your love and culture, put that in a slice of bread, in this case, pun intended, the bread has to be gluten free, and then figure out your genetics, your blood test, your microbiome, which is your gut bacteria, and then maybe come up with a prescription of nutrition, not prescription of medicine. And so this has become now my life mission, to change the way the world eats, to change the way India eats. I've been successful in changing the celebrities and the superstar athletes. I'm now working to convince the Aam Aadmi that, what, everyone can be a celebrity in their life. They just have to eat a little bit scientific.
Right. Absolutely. That's an amazing story. Thank you for sharing that with us. And since you did mention training with celebrities and how you have found success in, coaching them and the way that they have adapted to all these new insights, what happens is that we usually do see celebrities, in movies or on Netflix, however, that we are watching, and we love the way that they look, we love the way that they perform and tap into the peak performances, and we do keep that as a goal. But somewhere or the other, we have this limitation that they are celebrities, they are richer, they have a lot more help, they have a lot more guidance, and that's why there's this gap in between the goal that we have, but the help that we don't have. So, how do you sort of convince your clients that this is absolutely achievable, and what are some things that actually might as well apply in both these cases?
So we are always enamored by celebrities. I meet all of them. I've done hundreds of celebrities, and I've walked into very intimate details of their life, from the time they get up to the time they go to sleep. They're no different from you and me, Sakshi. I'll give people a very easy way to understand this. I wanted to buy the new iPhone. Okay. Maybe when I was younger, I would not be able to acquire it at one shot. So I would take an EMI and buy an iPhone. Today, I can go out and buy an iPhone. Everyone's aspiration, including, let's say, maybe the auto rickshaw guy that dropped me to work today, even he wants to own an iPhone, an aspirational item. The celebrity owns the iPhone. Ryan Fernando owns iPhone. Rickshaw driver owns iPhone. Everyone has the aspiration and everyone can do it. The same goes with nutrition. There's only one problem. The celebrity gets his or her paycheck from eating correctly, looking correct, and looking younger and having the energy. You and I get our paycheck. You get your paycheck from media. I get my paycheck from doing diet plan. So we don't really need to turn up and look that brilliantly good. So then nutrition becomes like this temptress. Ki I last month ate 7 mangoes a day, right? Versus I get signed up for a 5 crore movie and I need to look really good on camera. I will be telling Mr. Mango I'll eat 1 mango in the month instead of 7 mangoes a day. Are you getting my story? My story says that nutrition for the aam aadmi is considered not a priority because the end outcome goal is not materialistic enough, not socially influencing enough. And the only time people really follow a nutrition plan is when the heart of pain slaps them. I got diabetes, I got hypertension, I got heart attack, I got stent, and one top pot they get, then answer, diet kaisa karne ka hai. So I think everybody can follow a nutrition plan. The celebrities follow it more. The celebrities pay more for that service because they have already realized they can change that iPhone, they can change their car, they can change their house. But the human body is one materialistic thing that you own. Your body is one thing that you own that you can never change. Badli nahi kar sakta hai. So Sakshi tomorrow cannot say, okay, I'm fed up with this body. I want to get another body. So the investment in putting the right air into you, the right water into you, the right food into you, and then exercising has been understood by the people who are at the highest level of society. We tend to call them celebrities. The rest is like, oh, they are celebrities, so they have enough of time and they can follow. No, we all have 24 hours. We all maybe eat 2 or 3 meals a day. We can all have, how much of money can you use to buy food, right? At the end of the day, Mukesh Ambani and Ryan Fernando still eat dal and chawal, right? So
Absolutely.
my logic to the growing population out there, train your young children to eat better, teach them scientifically, work with blood tests, work with metabolic tests, work with genetic tests. Don't eat that, अरे आपका नाना जी आपको चार पराठा दिया तो आपको भी पराठा लेने का है. So these are the small elements that, no, it's not only for celebrities, anybody can do it.
Absolutely. And like I've always heard you say, it's true that less is more when it comes to nutrition and when it comes to this. We don't really need to have so many things in order to, sort of begin this journey for ourselves. And there are not many materialistic things required also at many times if we want to start working on ourselves, right? So that's a great insight. And my next question is that you get a lot of clients, right? What is it that you're currently observing are the recurring issues that are that your clients are coming with, like something that as a community you might have seen your clients experience on a larger scale?
So two parts, okay? I'm dividing India into, we're a population of 1.3 billion people. So we're a case study in our own right. इतना सारा population है. You have the working out people जो exercise करते हैं और जो exercise नहीं करते. With the non-exercising people, जो लोग exercise नहीं करते, those who are not doing exercise, I have found out that sugar, BP, and of late heart attacks. BP, sugar, heart attacks are the main problem. And what is the common thread between these three? Food. People are eating more. People are more stressed, therefore they are eating more. People have online e-commerce apps, so they're pressing a button and getting food that you'd say, okay, Sakshi, let's go on the weekend for outside eating. Now you don't even have to wait for that. You press a button and it's there, like right now it'll come 15 minutes later. So the sinful, tempting food that is unhealthy is available at the click of a button. So this unexercising population is eating more. Therefore, diabetes, hypertension, and heart disease are targeting them because the outside food or the stress in their life is causing more plaque. Plaque का मतलब जो blockage होता है. So this is a pressing condition that I'm seeing. The other side is people who are getting aware and alert. They're going into exercise. They're joining gym, going for morning yoga, Pilates, Baba Ramdev ka class. ये वो सब कुछ कर रहे हैं. But suddenly they're getting a lot of aches and pains. There's a problem. They're doing a lot of exercise. Like there's one gym here in Bangalore where I am, and on the gym is on the top floor and everything, and on the ground floor and the first floor two famous restaurants. तो सब member ऊपर जाते हैं, exercise करते हैं, नीचे आते हैं, and oh, because I exercised, मैं double portion खाएगा. What was the perspective? मैं exercise करेगा, एक portion करेगा, so exercise will take care of my health. So people are thinking, अरे यार ये तो मेरा gate pass मिल गया. So I'm getting a gate pass to double eat. Now, in that double eating, they're not losing weight. So they're not losing weight. They're working out even harder. So then stress is coming on joints and muscle and heart and everything. So That is another problem I'm seeing, that people are injuring themselves more often than not. So these are two types of people come to me. We are also seeing a lot of cancer cases coming up. I don't know if I should publicly acknowledge this. I don't know, because I just have one small clinic. We have 5, 6 clinics in India and 70 dietitians. But we're getting more number of cancer cases. Breast cancer, ovarian cancer, colon cancer, digestive system का जो cancer होता है, colon cancer बोलता है. We're getting a lot of these cases now. And I'm like, I'm asking the doctors, what could it be? So they're talking about microplastics. So like all of our, mineral waters are coming in plastic bottles, bubble tops, water bottles. Wherever we go, there are microplastics. So that's coming to the food chain. We're microwaving food. So it creates phytoplastics, phytoestrogens. So all of these are going into our food chain, and I think that's causing a lot of contamination in our food. Insecticides and pesticides, very high amount of use in our food chain. So I'm hoping, India moves in a direction where the government comes up with protection strategies for the eater. See, right now there's a lot of support to the farmers, fertilizers, pesticides, insecticides, etc., etc., minimum share price on purchase and all. I am asking, who's taking care of you and me, Sakshi, the consumers? Who's protecting us? Who's protecting us and telling us कि हमारा जो बाजी है, हमारा जो गेहूं है, हमारा जो bread है, the दूध. The other day I saw a cow eating garbage in Bangalore, in the garbage bin. I don't know if you've seen it in your city, but I'm seeing it across India.
Hmm.
So are we really getting food that is being um, carefully, scientifically grown? Or are we not? And so I'm seeing more incidences of cancer because of the exposure of our food chain to have the wrong contaminants into it. And nobody's talking about the stress we go through today. And it could be good stress or bad stress, but all the time. No, 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 more, 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 more. I mean, if you and I, Sakshi, went back 2000 years ago, right now we'd not be shooting a podcast. We'd be lying under a tree waiting for the sun to go away, relaxed. Our only stress would be, is there a cheetah or panther or porcupine that's going to harm us? So the perspective is the stresses of today's modern day world, I think, aggravate hormones in us that doesn't tell us that boss is calling, it's telling us one porcupine is chasing you, you know? So I think this combines to the cancer loads that are happening in society today.
Right. Of course, like rightly pointed out that we feel like we're living highly comfortable lifestyles, but we are constantly surrounded by things that, trigger a stress response. So the construction around
True,
us, the
true.
phone, the ringtones, all of these things, we're constantly in a fight or flight mode. And that's what
Absolutely.
plays
That's
a
a nice
major.
term, fight or flight.
Right, and that causes a major impact on our system, like in the long term, that we don't really realize. That's a great thing you pointed out. And you and I know that some of these things, or most of the diseases that you just talked about, are lifestyle induced. But what a lot of people don't understand is what are the real diseases or the real issues that we are facing today are because of a lifestyle. It's very easy to blame it on genetics, and we say, okay, my parents have it, my grandparents have it, and that's the first answer anybody would give you. Like someone, if someone has gained weight, that I am more prone to gaining weight at this age because my mom did, because my mom's side of the family did,
S-
so that's what
Sakshi,
happens.
let me tell you, and let me tell all your viewers and listeners, genetics is only 2% of your outcome. Stop blaming your parents for your lazy taste bud addiction and your lazy inability to get out of bed and move your body. It is, we are a because I do thousands of people's of counseling, and people are like, I don't know how I gain weight. I don't know how that. And I just ask them to send me pictures of what they eat and ask them to send me their um, uh, exercise wearable data. And people are intrinsically lazy, therefore they put the blame on somebody else. And the easiest blame is genetics. Then second best is my work. Third is my family. Women use family, men use work. When you see people who are extremely successful, who have built billion-dollar companies, they don't even have time. They even budget the time with their children, but they budget it. And then you have normal people who are watching Netflix for 3 hours a day. You can
True.
take out 2 hours from Netflix and devote 1 hour to eating healthier and 1 hour towards exercising healthier. The perspective is there are too many excuses in today's world, and until, Sakshi, we make it a revolution. Like if you go to Denmark and Sweden, everyone works out, right? And there's research now coming out that's saying that if all your friends are healthy, you will end up becoming healthier. But if you are surrounded by friends who eat and drink all the time, and you become the one person that gets onto the fitness bandwagon, i've had I've had a billionaire confess to me that, Ryan, the best thing about your nutrition plan is I have lost 42 kgs, but I've also lost all my friends. Nobody wants to be around a disciplined person. They want to show that they are more successful than you. And this is the hard hitting truth. Nobody discusses this. If we have 5 friends together and I'm the most successful in my diet and my nutrition, my 4 other friends are going to find ways for me to fail because I make them look bad.
True.
As a result, this billionaire client now has a new set of friend circle. People that get up at 5 a.m. in the morning and run, people that do mountain hiking. His newfound hobby is not drinking, it's off-road trail riding and biking and car driving in the mountains and in the desert. So I'm just saying to you that sometimes you need to reinvent yourself, reinvent your relationships, reinvent your job where you work. And if you can't do that, well, you're adult enough to say to everyone, I can't eat another rasgulla. I can't have another glass of whiskey. So it's in everybody's genetics to do it right.
Absolutely. And that's a great thing you pointed out, because we, like, if I talk about my parents' generation, like, there hasn't been something culturally happening in terms of health and wellness, of fitness, and taking responsibility from a very young age, because probably that was not there in the culture back then. It is growing now. There are many great parents who have started including this with their families, with their kids, and doing this in front of their kids, and working out together as a family and building on this culture. But this wasn't there like even 2 decades ago, and that's why there's this major gap happening in. We've always seen the ones working out in a family only when they get diabetes, or when their doctor says now you have to go on a walk every single day. So there's this thing that they have to do it versus they get to do it, and that's the gap that we really need to bridge. And that makes a lot of sense, to find community where you can do the same things, you find like-minded people, because that makes a big difference in your life. So that was really well pointed out. Thank you for sharing that with us. Coming to today's topic and what your book is about, gluten. And I feel like there's still so much education that needs to happen in India with gluten, because we've taken so long only to move from maida to wheat. Even when you go to restaurants, or that's the healthiest option available. So if I'm having a whole wheat pizza, if I'm having a whole wheat naan, that means I'm making a healthy choice, and that's what majority of families or people think that they're doing. So how have you found this? Like, has it been easy for you, or what are some tips and tricks that you have given your clients to sort of work with this?
So the reason I wrote the book is because whilst I can sit with you, Sakshi, in a personal counseling, and you meet me every month and you do a 6-month plan with me, I'm able to influence you with your test, blood test, genetic test, gluten DNA test, and then show you your resting heart rate is coming down, your skin starts glowing, your potty gets better. But then I said, let me write a book, because how many people can walk into a counseling room and sit down with a nutritionist? Do they have the time? Do they have the resources? Do they have the money? So I felt that before I move on into the next life, I must pen down the most difficult thing, which is convincing people to give up wheat if if they are gluten DNA sensitive. What does this mean? Our genetics say we will process certain foods like lactose intolerant. There is a race of population who will not digest milk because of centuries of evolution. There
Right.
are also people in the Indian subcontinent who are allergic to gluten. Gluten is a protein found in wheat, barley, and rye. We eat wheat and barley in India, but wheat is the predominant staple because in the green revolution, the Punjab belt, when India was going through famine and all, they realized it's a hardy crop doesn't require too much water like rice, and the Indus Valley and all of that stuff, and the rivers, the 5 rivers that you have in North India, which will give you your wheat basket. Obviously, you got a green revolution. Therefore, the grain became cheaper, and wheat is a grain which, when put into anything, tastes good. Like if you eat a missi roti versus a normal roti, you'd go for a normal roti because of the taste. So this wheat contains this culprit called gluten, and gluten goes inside your intestine, digestive system, and starts slapping it around, creates inflammatory conditions, jagada conditions, and then it goes into your blood. And you do it when you're young, it's okay. 30s to 40s is okay. But doesn't become 40, potty starts getting bad. You start getting acidity, you start getting ulcer, hyperthyroidism, diabetes. And they're like, why is this happening? So in my book, I've tried to join the dots to convince people. The medical community, the dietitians community will attack me saying that it's all rubbish. I wrote it from a responsibility point of view, saying that when you walk in through my door here at the clinic, and a few thousands of people have walked through the Qua Nutrition doors, we are seeing this testing being able to change people's lives, even though they did not have any problems when they came to us. So there are two parts. I have a problem. Could gluten be a culprit? I don't have a problem. I think I want to know how to eat correctly. And Ryan's discovered that I'm allergic to gluten. Oh, yeah, by the way, when I gave up gluten, I had adult acne all my life. All my life. And when I did the DNA test, it said, Ryan Fernando, you go on Pawala who eats bread at breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Stop eating bread. My mother said, you big shot nutritionist, get lost. All this science and all is useless. You eat bread all your life, you can eat bread. Nothing wrong with you. It's all in your head. This is how people contradict you. They don't take science. But when I did the genetic test, it said, Ryan Fernando, your DNA doesn't agree with gluten. So guess what? Big shot nutritionist. I decided to give up gluten for 40 days. I gave it up. For the first time in my life, I didn't get a single pimple. So I wrote this book for all teenagers out there. Those teenagers that have had acne. I use Clearasil. I use Cetaphil. I used all the possible creams on my face. My face was a chemical factory. You could squeeze out a pimple and not get pimple juice. You would get Clearasil. Right? So I suffered all of that, and nobody told me that going to the toilet 3 times or 4 times a day is normal. I thought going to the toilet 4 times a day is normal. I would eat food and want to go after that. No, it's not normal. The food should not run through your body, because in your intestines you have these beautiful carpet-like filaments called microvilli, and they hold back the food and water and make a better potty. But when you are gluten sensitive, this gluten goes and cuts all these microvilli and makes them like stubs. So now the food, instead of getting caught, runs through your intestine, right? So we've got a lot of cases. I had a boy who never had eyebrows, alopecia areata, which means
I think
your
I think
immune system, yeah, your immune system attacks your hair follicles. So then people do creams, they go hair transplant, they do this. I like, भाई gluten test कर दो, देख लीजिए आप gluten sensitive है, वो बंद करेगा तुम्हारा eyelashes वापस आ जाएगा. So that boy, after 4 months, his eyelashes came back. So he was my biggest fan. Vaishak. Vaishak Vijay Kumar now plays for Bangalore Royal Challengers. He was an obese teenager as a cricketer, not getting selected. I told them, do the genetic test. They did it. Mother saying, but he goes for practice. He likes chapati. He doesn't like rice because rice is sambar, it spills and all. So I convinced Vaishak 5 years ago to go gluten free. The rest is history. I don't take gluten because I can't talk to you with the same clarity, do 15 counselings a day, and have mental clarity of thought when I'm on gluten. I get a brain fog. So, whoever I've tried this experiment with, they actually say, you know what? I no longer feel lethargic. I no longer have joint pains when I get up in the morning. So I think when I get these inputs, I was like, Ryan Fernando, you need to write this down and put it out there. Look, I don't make money off the book. I make more money counseling people and celebrities. The book is my gift to the world to experience what I have experienced through my eyes and my thought process. And there's no harm in eliminating gluten for 3 months, wheat, barley, and rye, and seeing. And the only way, Zakshi, you can find out, check your resting heart rate every morning.
right.
If it goes down after 3 months and you lose weight, clear indication that maybe gluten is not your best friend. Of course, the pizza and the burger from your favorite bakery, like I haven't gone to Paris as yet with my wife because I was like, if we go there, what will we do? Everything is bread and croissant, right? So I actually do research before I travel to a place. Hi, do you have gluten-free bread? Do you have gluten-free pasta? Yes, sir. Okay, I'm coming in. I want a lovely penne made by a Michelin star chef, but it has to be gluten-free. So I think the parallel example you may ask me is, but is it so difficult to follow? I would reply to all your listeners and all our fans listening in. Sakshi, if you're a vegetarian, will you eat non-veg? No. If you're a Jain and you say, I don't eat onions, you'll go to a restaurant and eat onions? No, you'll not eat for that day. But you'll not break your religion. If you're a Muslim, you'll never eat pork, right? If you're a Hindu, you'll never eat beef. How do people have that conviction? तो मैं
Hmm.
बोल रहा है क्या, अरे यार gluten है, it's an allergic molecule, don't eat it. No, no, Ryan sir, wheat is God, pizza, bakery, pasta, cupcakes, cake, croissants, these are foods because when wheat, if you read my book, gluten has a molecule in it that goes and attaches to the same pleasure area that sugar attaches and opioids attach. It gives you the same pleasure release, which is why women who are in their monthly cycles love to eat a croissant or a pastry and they feel good about themselves. So it activates that pleasure center. So you have a pleasure center and then you have the disease center. The disease center turns up many years later. The pleasure center is instantaneous, instant gratification. Man is a pleasure being. So we will choose to eat gluten till such time the pain is so bad, rosacea, psoriasis, eczema, acne, autoimmune disorders, vitiligo, Michael Jackson disease, where you start getting patches.
Right.
The link, I've written the world's only and first course on nutrition for the vitiligo condition. And when I was doing the research to teach the dietitians and nutritionists about vitiligo and a diet for it, up came the research that gluten changes your immune system and your immune system begins to attack your cells which create pigment in your body. So gluten is that, like that spy inside of your body that doesn't look harmful but goes and does a lot of havoc.
Absolutely. And this was so insightful. Thank you for sharing this with us. And firstly, I'd like to say that thank you for writing this book. And I'd encourage our audience to get it because it's like a great guide. I mean, you've literally listed down cities and all the alternatives that you would find over there. So, I mean, I don't know if there's a better guide than this to find the resources because one would always feel what should we replace it with or, how should we go about leading a wheatless life if we don't have it. So, there are great resources in
I,
this
I've,
book.
I've even added the diet chart. So Sakshi, tomorrow morning, if you say I want to go gluten free, I've actually done a North Indian and a South Indian diet chart for 7 days, 7 options over there for you to follow. In fact, my
Exactly.
team came back to me and said, Ryan sir, oh, what have you done? You've told everyone how to follow it. Nobody will come to us for diet counseling now. But I think people will come for diet counseling uh, like we dress up, right? So I go and get my shirt stitched at P.N. Rao, amazing tailor in Bangalore. And why do I do it? Because I always want to look good, right? And then every year I go and stitch a new thing. So nutrition is the same thing. Every year you should exercise. Every year you should get a new nutrition plan. You should figure out what works for your body for that year. So giving people the resource of a diet plan, where to get gluten-free foods, what are the gluten-free foods, where you can do the blood testing for gluten, where can you do the genetic testing. Everything is given in the book as a ready reckoner. In fact, mm, the people who proofread the book for me, especially one or two investors in my nutrition clinic, asked me to remove certain items because it was like, dude, you're giving away the tenets of the business success. And I was like, let's get people healthy first because they'll come to us for nutrition. So that is my gift to the world, which is hopefully, if I just, Sakshi, influence that one teenage girl who's got acne, that one teenage boy whose eyelashes fall off, or that one lady who's not conceiving. By the way, this is not written in the book, but I would like to tell my viewers. So there was this research paper: women who are gluten intolerant and consume gluten had a higher risk statistically for miscarriage as compared to a woman off gluten, provided they had a gluten sensitive gene.
Right.
I was like in my head. So when people come to me, for conception and fertility, and they're not conceiving, we do have IVF genetic test to see that are you the candidate to birth somebody. And genetics has a huge insight. So you can blame your parents on your ability to birth or not birth by doing a genetic test. That is one thing that you can blame your parents on a little bit. But then how you eat to hold the bun in the oven, meaning the baby in the womb. So this is another thing. So I tell when I still remember I was talking to one of the leading fertility specialists in Bangalore, Dr. Devika, if I remember correctly, and I was telling her that you should encourage the genetic testing on all candidates that come for IVF therapy, especially the females, because then when they are eating for fertility, you're giving them hormonal therapy, which causes a lot of sugar craving and weight gain,
Right.
and your propensity is to go towards wheat and pastries and all because you're like, oh, I've got this craving. And trust me, hormones are more powerful than your brain's resolution to stay away from it. So it's a losing battle if you're not equipped with science and you're only equipped with hearsay. Oh, there's no problem. No problem. Doctor says you can eat whatever you want. Cancer, you can eat whatever you want. IVF, you can eat what you want. Oh, heart attack, you can eat whatever you want. No, actually, heart attack, now they're telling them to eat a little bit better. Doctors are now saying that, no, 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 everything's in the diet. I'm poking a little bit of fun at the universe right now. We were doing personalized medicine in 2011 at Qua Nutrition in Bangalore, India. And when I went to get funding for my clinic, 37 VCs have rejected my pitch that this is not the future. Today, if you see every Instagram video by doctors from America, everyone's saying personalized nutrition. Finding out if you're gluten sensitive is personalized nutrition.
Absolutely. And just to point it out here, what is the percentage of the Indians that you think are coming in with you and who are testing positive for being sensitive to gluten? Because a lot of people think that it's nothing that we have to worry about. There are very few people who might be intolerant, and if we are, we might already be seeing symptoms. So, what is the percentage like that you see right now?
For every 100 clients that would come to my clinic, about 20 to 22 were already being tested because they're coming to us with a gut disorder, right? So
Right.
on those 20 to 22, the gut disorder means you're most likely having a gluten sensitivity. Only 2 or 3 of those 20 to 22 will never have a gluten sensitivity. It's some other problem, drinking or genetics or environmental condition. So now I've got about 20 people. The remaining 80 people who come, when we do random testing, they have the money to do the DNA testing. Around 40% of those OTP, it's about 32. So you can say safely around 50%, I believe, of the Indian population, if they get tested, will have the HLA DQ8, DQ5, and DQ gene, which is the gene that codes for gluten sensitivity as positive. So over a period of time, I predict this. More people will get tested. People will limit the exposure of gluten in the week in their diet. They'll reduce it because we really don't need to eat so much of grain. We're not factory workers and we're not laborers anymore. So we don't
True.
need grain. Grain is processed food. So we don't need the flours. Even whole wheat flour we don't need. So that's going to happen. Third thing that is going to happen is we are going to go back to traditional practices where we're going to change from the modern day hybrid 8 feet wheat to the 6-inch kapli wheat or kamut wheat, which has very low
Right.
gluten in it. And then we're going to come up with enzymes. So, I still eat a pizza, Sakshi, and I eat a gluten pizza, but I pick up a medical product which has a digestive enzyme of gluten in it. So I will take 2 pills of that, which will break down gluten, so that for that day, my stomach breaks down gluten and it doesn't go and create havoc inside of my bloodstream. Having said this, when taking the gluten digestive enzyme, I still get a pimple the next day. So
Right.
I'm smart enough, or I'm experienced enough, or I'm scientifically informed enough to be like, hey Ryan bhai, तुम gluten sensitive है ना, पिज्जा क्यों खा रहा है? अभी तुमको एक थप्पड़ देगा, एक पिंपल हो गया, बस करो. So you start having this dialogue inside of your head, to eat or not to eat, to eat or not to eat.
True, true. Of course, and that makes a lot of sense. And I feel like a lot of our listeners can resonate with this right now. And the other thing that I wanted to ask you is that I've seen a lot of new doctors who are, making people aware of this, also talk about what particular scenarios or in what particular diseases have they taken out gluten from the diet and it has made a major impact. If you can just share some of the highlights that have been for you, like if it was diabetes or PCOD, what were some of the highlight situation or case studies wherein you removed gluten out of the diet and that's where they were able to sort of overcome this.
So Sakshi, I studied at Goa Medical College and I did my clinical biochemistry. So I was privileged enough to have the dean of Goa Medical College, who happened to be the head of Department of Biochemistry, as my boss, my mentor. So in medical triage, you always go and look for the causative symptoms, right? So let's say there's a diabetes, or there's a gut problem, or you got a skin problem, or rosacea, all of that stuff. Now a doctor is trained to go at the crux of the symptom and prescribe the necessary drug. Now doctors are making people aware that they're going a step backwards and saying what is causing that clinical symptom, right? So you have an ulcer, or you have acidity, or you have loose motion, or you have irritable bowel syndrome, or you have eczema, psoriasis on the skin, or you have acne, or you have a lot of brain fog. So doctors are taking a step back and writing down what could be the causative agents. Now, as a nutritionist who is not a doctor, I am not a doctor. When I started our clinical practice in 2010, where I went to get funding for these clinics and never got it, investors, doctors said that this model won't work because when you're sick, you'll go to a doctor. My presumption was people are getting more aware to counter the doctor and say, boss, why is this happening? There must be some logic. मैंने ये खाया, दे खाया, वो. So people began to come. We based our philosophy not on associating with the clinical symptom and then eliminating gluten, because we were not doctors. Therefore, we would not get unbridled, uncompromised patient compliance. Patients give doctors the worship of God. So doctor says don't eat this. If a doctor says don't eat gluten to a patient, patient will not do it. Ryan Fernando, a nutritionist, says don't eat gluten, patient will counter with me. So what we did, we brought in genetic testing. Because Sakshi, if I tell you, oh madam, you're very fit, you have beautiful skin, you look beautiful, lovely hair and everything, huh? तेरा पास कुछ problem नहीं. Eat 2 tomatoes, eat 2 amlas, you'll be fine. Suddenly I say to you, Sakshi, what's your blood group? Can you
Right.
tell me your blood group?
Positive.
What is your blood group?
A positive.
A positive. So I would think in my head, you know what? I think according to my past history, clinical symptoms and all, A and B positive are higher gluten risk. Sakshi, ek kaam karo, you stop eating gluten. Now you think, Arey right, I love my paratha, I love my pizza every now and then. Yeah, I can't stop my gluten. My granny makes beautiful chapatis. I'm never going to stop eating it from her. But if I do, I tell you, Sakshi, just do this test. And this test has lots of things, not only gluten. Lactose, gluten, coffee, vitamins, minerals, eating behavior, which oil you should take and everything. Suddenly in the middle, like, oh, ma'am, Sakshi, you're gluten sensitive. Now you are thinking, Ryan has told me to stop eating gluten. So we hunt not the disease. We make every person coming to us saying, do you eat scientifically? No. Please do the test. Let us design it for scientifically, and then you have an argument with us. But my doctor told me this test is all humbug. I don't need to follow it. I'm like, okay, don't follow it, but reduce your gluten to once or twice a week. Don't eat it every day. Number one. Number two, when you start showing these following symptoms, I give the symptoms to my client. When you start showing the symptoms, start eliminating gluten or come back to me for a nutrition plan at that time, which is gluten free. So these are the ways that we approach it. But mostly, my biggest conviction is on digestive health. Those people need to test immediately. Everything from ulcers in the mouth to frequent GERD or acid reflux, frequent belching, lot of H. pylori infection, which is a type of bacteria, irritable bowel syndrome. You're getting potty 3-4 times a day. You have erratic potty where you don't have firmly formed stool, meaning you have beautiful stool that looks like a banana. I'm being a little gross, but I want your viewers to understand that nobody talks about this. But a lot of people get explosive bowel movement. Having an explosive bowel movement is also an indication that the food you ate did not agree with you. So let's move out of the gross area. But I think even skin problems, which you start getting dry patches suddenly on your elbows, in the joints of your fingers, frequent fungal infections. I believe the skin is getting immunologically compromised because jagada is happening every day. And because jagada is happening every day, after the immune system, boss, I'm not going to protect the skin. Let it succumb to all of these infections, or what we call as skin diseases.
Right. Understood. That was really beautifully explained. And just to conclude the whole topic of gluten, I have one last question. I'm not sure if it's valid or if it has any answer, but this might give our audience a great insight and sort of a wake up call to lead this way in their lifestyle. So, how much time does our body take to actually digest gluten without any medication? Like you said, that you have a medication after you if you have a gluten pizza, right? So, how much time does it take, and how much stress does it actually put on our body if we are gluten sensitive and if we have eaten gluten to digest it?
Good, very good question. In fact, you should lead with this question in this whole interview as the starter of the video when you do process it, which is this: um, any food that you eat, gastric emptying, which is up to the stomach, takes about 20 to 40 minutes depending on the digestibility of the food. So, like a biryani will sit in your stomach for 1.5 hour, 2 hours, whereas a glass of milk will exit in 30 minutes. Okay, so gluten is a molecule that will, from time of consumption to exit of your body, can be anywhere from as short as 1 hour to 1 day. 1 hour because the body like, अरे यार gluten आ गया, उसको बाहर निकाल दो. So you'll get the
Right.
explosive body movement. Those are people who already become very sensitive to it. The others now between 1 hour and 1 day, where recently my nephew came home and 4 years ago, he's 16, I did his gluten sensitivity test. So he used to eat food and run to every supermarket, bathroom, toilet. So the family would be, okay, we're going out for dinner. First, you have to find out where the toilets are. But they didn't join the dots saying that it was a gluten digestibility and evacuation condition. And now that he avoids gluten, he doesn't go to the toilet 3, 4, 5, 6 times a day. It doesn't have the explosive thing. So what I'm saying to you is that between that 1 hour and 1 day, people, if they have more than 3 bowel movements a day, if your potty is not firmly formed, nice, good, firm potty, then that is an issue. If you get frequently constipated, by the way, people with gluten can also get chronically constipated. The
Right.
opposite exists. Very few, 4 or 5 people out of 100 in the gluten family of allergy. But I used to always think it's some other problem. And then the moment I eliminated gluten and added a little bit of proper vegetable and other legumes and other grains, the people are like, "Arey, my bowel movement is really good." Um, and gluten in a person who's already sensitive, you will see the effects in as quick as 3 to 4 hours. Me personally, I start getting headaches. I get a
Right.
headache in the back of my head if I eat a pizza, even if I take the gluten digestive enzyme. So over a period of time, I'm like, okay, this guy is actually telling me it hurts me. But by the way, there's another component that as a nutritionist, I feel it's my God-given right to inform the world. There was something known as a milkshake study. So they told one group of people, hey, we're giving you unhealthy milkshake, okay? Stainless steel fast healthy milkshake. And another group of people, they said, oh, we're going to give you an unhealthy cup of milkshake and all the fats and calories and everything. So they put two groups, 30 people. Then what they did, without telling the people, they did this. They exchanged it. So मतलब जिन लोग को पता है कि हाँ I'm getting unhealthy got the healthy, and the people who thought they're getting healthy got the unhealthy. So this group that drank the unhealthy, their C-reactive protein did not spike
Wow.
because they were thinking about getting good nutrition into their body. So where am I making the declaration? Sometimes the effect is also manifested from the brain. You may never be allergic to gluten.
Absolutely.
हाँ Ryan भाई ने बोला gluten allergy, so I'm allergic. No, no, no. So don't make the mistake. Your brain controls it. And I know people who are DNA sensitive and eat gluten and have absolutely no problem at all. My wife is one example. I keep telling her, hey, you're tested positive. Why are you eating this? She says, I have no problem. So I believe that the human mind, the stress on the mind, the relaxation on the mind also plays a huge link between the gut and the mind connection. So there are snippets of wisdom like fermented bread where the bacteria break down the gluten, or in the ancient days we drank milk that was not pasteurized direct from the cow. It had bifidobacter, which actually was able to digest gluten, which is why in the olden days we never had these problems. So a lot of these small issues could be placebo, could be brain driven. So test is your best option to confirm or not to confirm whether you're sensitive to gluten or not.
Absolutely amazing. That was a great insight, and it's very true that our mind plays a major role, and how we sort of our relationship with our food is a major thing, right? Like, uh, that's where eating disorders are born. And if we even if we are eating healthy, but if we are constantly thinking about calories, or counting it and going in that sort of an approach, it might as well not nourish our body. So that's a great insight. Thank you for sharing that and concluding the gluten topic for today over here. Moving on to genetic testing, and that's something that in fact, just this morning, I saw on the website. I didn't know that you guys were actually doing this, and it's really interesting because there are not many Indian companies, sharing this out there or making this available. And what happens is that for a lot of general public, it's very alien to go and get some tests done when the doctor has not told you. So the tests are only done when you go to a clinic with an issue, and then the doctor advises that you have to go and get tests done. So if you could just give us a little bit insight on this, that what is genetic testing, and I don't know if it allows you or not, but a little cost structure of it and how affordable it is for the audience. And now we know that it is a great help to understand if you are or not gluten sensitive, but what are some other insights that we could gain from this in order to sort of alter our lifestyle in that
Okay, so let's start with the $1 million question, which is what is the cost? Everyone wants to know what are the costs. So expect on a single gene test, just one, like only gluten, to spend about 1,500 rupees at a standalone lab that would do it. In my clinic, we charge 22,500 for the gluten plus 68 other genetic tests that come into it, which are only related to the nutrition department. So you have cancer gene, you have different skin genes, you have fitness gene, you have health gene. We don't touch those genes. The nutrition gene test, expect to pay 15 to 22,000 rupees. I'm one of the more premium labs, interpreters in the country, because what we do is we integrate it with your eating plan. Most of the genetic testing labs that do exist with diagnostic lab, they'll give you the testing, but they won't give you the action plan. What is the action plan? Exercise, lifestyle plan, and diet plan. I think that's more important. Coming to your other question is, when it's not coming from a doctor, should we really test, or what is the awareness? um, the simplest thing that I can go with you is, I remember when mobile phones first came into India, you bought mobile phones in the gray market, black market. Today, you never heard of gray market or black market. Everything is officially purchased. In fact, you'll go to the company showroom and buy because you want that guarantee, you want that warranty. So we as Indians have evolved in the last 2 decades. My father will still bargain at Levi's showroom, right? You and I will walk into Levi's showroom and won't bargain. What am I using this message of the older generation versus the newer generation? The newer generation has Google, okay? And Google will educate you on what you can do. Ryan Fernando and Sakshi will produce a podcast and educate you. What is the education? You are an entity, you breathe, you sleep, you digest, you start the cycle again. For this, you need air, water, and food. Your blueprint has already been discovered for the human race. That blueprint we can lead first with nutrition. How to eat, when to eat, what to eat, how much to eat. Nobody teaches this in kindergarten, in high school, in junior college, in senior college, or PhD, right? So, Sakshi, what people have to do is take matters into their own hand and educate themselves. So, people, like I give an example. Recently, a leading fitness instructor in Bangalore and we were having a discussion, and her running coach had a heart issue. So, he went for a stent.
Right.
Oh, my dear, Coach XYZ eats so healthy. And I looked at her and I said, he eats so healthy? How do you know? No, 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 he's a runner. I've seen him eat. I said, eating healthy does not mean eating scientifically. What if your genetics said that you absorbed cholesterol more? Number one, I'll give another example. I test for a gene that processes homocysteine. So certain people have a gene which can reduce homocysteine. Who's homocysteine? Homocysteine is a molecule produced in your body or comes from coffee or from your food chain, which goes and slaps cholesterol and makes it sticky to form plaque. What if that running coach after every run was drinking coffee? Layered in that. Oh, by the way, he also should test for his B complex because I know that vitamin B6, B9, and B12 lower homocysteine. What if his genetic receptor to absorb B9 is low? I never thought about that. Oh, but he's eating healthy because he's a runner. So I want people to become aware that you do not know how to eat healthy. If your mother taught you like to eat healthy, like my mother slaps me in the face and says, what big shot nutrition thing, my diet is very correct. So when I go home, I actually don't eat with my parents because jagada happens. Because
True.
she's like, I fed you all this food all your life. What is your problem in life? Just because you're on big shot nutrition, now you are just showing that you are gluten free. You eat this bread. And I'm like, dude, I'm not going to be able to convince your generation that scientific testing has arrived,
True.
right? Very interesting. They're doing DNA nadi patta now, meaning when you want to marry two people, they don't longer use astrology,
Oh,
right? Tomorrow, my son is only 10 years old, but if he gets married, his diabolical, hyperactive, scientific thinking father is like, okay, my son has these two, three girls proposal. Maybe proposals will come. Maybe he has his girlfriend. I'll be like, beta, I'd like a saliva sample. It's like, why, uncle? You know what? I want to know if my future grandchildren will have diabetes because my son already has a diabetic gene,
right.
right? So when you're marrying two people, genetic selection. So it's a fun way to interpret it, and it could be very serious that the governments tomorrow would mandate this testing. I could be wrong, but maybe 20 years down the line, I predict that anybody who goes for a government sponsored athletic program at the age of 5 or 6, we would test the child. Think about it now. Sakshi, my kid was tested at 6 months. He doesn't have a gene for endurance. His tennis coach at 10 years old makes him run 2 kilometers. I'm like, sir, you make him run 2 kilometers. When he turns up to learn the technical part of sport, he already hates the sport. So we have changed his whole training. But
Right.
he'll not get onto our Olympic team because he has a low endurance gene. So he could go onto the chess team or the shooting team. So the
Wow.
future is going to be selecting people based on understanding the science. And I think parents and even you, Sakshi, and everybody out there, we spend 30, 40, 50,000 rupees for a mobile phone. The cost of a gene test to figure out everything, state of the art, state of the art. I'm talking about NASA state of the art is 2 lakh rupees. Aam Aadmi is 30,000 rupees.
Right.
So that's the range. Okay. So people who are at a level to appreciate this, afford it, I would say do it now. And I'm super happy that the the Reliance family has gone and bought into the genetic company recently. And when that happened, I was like, yeah, yeah. And my wife was like, what's wrong with you? I was like, they purchased a genetic company. I'm like, so what? I said, do you realize what's going to happen? They're going to commoditize genetic testing, which
Exactly.
means the prices are going to come down. And when the prices come down, my next problem will start. How do I convince people कि भाई तेरे पास gluten का sensitive gene है अभी बंद करो,
Right.
so that's the whole picture right now.
That was a great insight, and it's about time that we Indians get acquainted to this. And it's great that we have it in India right now, because this is the best way to understand that your body is your best teacher. It can never lie to you, and it's the best way to learn and adapt to your lifestyle, learning from your own body after this testing, right? So I hope that I also get to do this very soon, and so do my parents and the audience. So thank you for sharing this with us. And as we conclude our episode today, is there any last message that you want to leave us with?
You are what you eat. You can live till 100, provided you start making amends of not putting very bad fuel in your body today, because every 10 years your body completely changes over with new cells around 10 years. Okay.
Right.
So I advise everyone to have a 10-year plan for your body. So Sakshi, when I meet you 10 years later, you should be stronger, fitter, eating more nutritiously than you eat today. And as a result of that, 10 years later, you're actually looking younger than you actually look together. And so when you go for your classroom reunion, everyone's like, Are Sakshi, tum kya kar rahe hai? Aging nahi ho raha hai. I am 48 years of age. My metabolic age is 32. It's proof in the pudding. Sorry, not pudding. Correct, unprocessed foods. Thank you, Sakshi, for having me today.
Thank you so much. And for the ones who would like to get Ryan's book, the details are in the description below. You can get that, and you can also find some details to contact One Nutrition or Mr. Ryan and reach out to him, and definitely book consultation if you want to. So that's all for today's episode. I'm Sakshi Pawar, and I'll be your host for the Settle or Be Better podcast. You know the drill. Subscribe to the Settle or Be Better podcast, like, share, and comment on our videos. And oh, hit the bell icon because you don't want to miss the mind boggling health discussions we're about to bring for you. Why settle when you can be better?